and El Paso, even though we've got the Mets-Dodgers going on right now here at the Alehouse, and we also are going to have Yankees-Guardians. So lots of playoff baseball, not to mention Monday Night Football, and we are your Monday Night Football home here at Border City Alehouse. In fact, we've got happy hour specials going on right now with $4 tall domestic draft beers, $4 Hornitos, Crown, and Tito's, plus you can also dive into those delicious $6 Alehouse nachos plus chips and queso. The new menu is out. They feature glizzies, flatbreads, tacos and quesadillas, and Sandies, including the new Nashville hot and fried chicken sandwich to go along with their smash burgers. Those are all new additions here to the Alehouse. They've also added onto the menu tater tots, onion rings, buffalo chicken fries, fried pickles, and a whole lot more. So come on down and check it out, not to mention the 6 varieties of wings served up with celery, carrots, and ranch. We are your Monday night home, 1506 North Lee Trevino at Vista del Sol. It is the best spot in town for Monday Night Football and playoff baseball, cold beers, and a great time. Border City Alehouse. All right. Also, we're going to be giving away a ton of prizes here at halftime today. Thanks to our friends at All That Music and Video Collectors Marketplace, located at the Fountains of Farah, just below the Best Buy parking lot. We have, for you Buffalo Bills fans, Almost a Dynasty, a fan's story that tells you all about the Buffalo Bills in the 1990s. We're going to be giving that away here on the show today. Also, we've got a Joe Namath Pop Funko. It is my favorite Pop Funko of the group. He is wearing the classic throwbacks, which the Jets will wear tonight for Monday Night Football as well. To go along with the Jets and Bills keychain bottle openers and lanyards. Again, it's all from All That Music and Video Collectors Marketplace. If you would like to evaluate your music collection, they can do that for you. Not to mention the largest collection in the Southwest for used and new CDs, along with vinyl, new and used. We've got also movies, DVDs, posters, the boutique, all those Pop Funkos and more. It is All That Music and Video. And don't forget, the Black Friday, which is like the second biggest record store day, is right around the corner. It's happening next month. Get a beat on your holiday shopping at All That Music and Video. Also, from our friends at Horizon Golf Conference Center, 16,000 Ashford Drive. We're going to be giving away a cart and 2 greens fees. It's an $80 value. You want to win that, you can do so, and we're not giving away 1 or 2. We've got 3 pairs of tickets for the Wednesday night UTEP football game when they play host to Florida International. All right, so much to talk about. Beginning with this Met game, the Dodgers beat the Mets so badly last night. I was really interested to see how they would come out. And they've come out firing because they have a 6-1 lead. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th. Mookie Betts just walked on Sean Manaea. But the Mets look good. They have hit the Dodger pitching early. And that is really the story of this ball game so far. The Mets bats finally got themselves going a little bit after being shut out yesterday by Dodger pitching. But today, the Dodger bullpen game did not go well. Brazier gave up a run in the first. Knack got knocked around with 5 in 2 innings pitched. And even though Banda and Honeywell have combined for 3 shutout innings, the damage was done. 6-0 at the point. Now it's 6-1. Manaea is still dealing with nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. All right, so we could talk that. We could talk Cleveland and the Yanks. The fact that right now you have really, you can't lose if you're Major League Baseball. Because you know the Mets or Dodgers will be in the World Series, and possibly the Yankees. I guess the outside chance would be the Guardians beating the Yankees, which will kind of spoil things a little bit from a ratings standpoint. But even if it's Cleveland and the Dodgers or Cleveland and the Mets, that should still do well. But you think about Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, Yankees, be a lot of fun. Obviously, Fox wants Dodgers, Yankees. They want L.A. and New York. They don't want a Subway Series necessarily because if you're not a Mets or Yankees fan, you might not be interested. But Dodgers get in, everybody wins for baseball fans. And then, of course, Yankees-Dodgers would be a dream, although even Dodgers-Guardians would be a lot of fun. So, guys, that's where we are right now in the championship series of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and it's just a great time to be a sports fan, Steve. So yesterday you got a chance to follow up a long day of football. It started all the way at 7:30 in the morning for the Bears fans, watching the Jags game yesterday and watching Chicago get another victory under their rookie quarterback. And then you don't have to suffer through the Bengals-Giants game, which, by the way, ended up being a good finish. You get to watch some playoff baseball. Dodgers and Mets last night. It's just a great time to be a sports fan. You can't turn on the TV without watching some kind of meaningful games, or maybe watch some meaningless college football weeknight games. Regardless of it, Steve, it's just a really fun time for sports.
It's a very big time for sports. So much going on. Plus, you got also NBA preseason games, which might not seem like much, but if you watched last night's Knicks T-Wolves game and you saw Dante DiVincenzo start mouthing off to Rick Brunson in the Knicks bench after the game and had to be separated, that was interesting. So we even have some NBA preseason tasty nuggets going around right now.
Yeah, hearing Lonzo Ball is back in basketball for Chicago. Hearing more about De'Aaron Fox with his extension. Got a little trade with the San Antonio Spurs, getting Jalen McDaniels for a second-round draft pick. So, yeah, a little basketball has been sprinkled into this too, Steve. And don't forget, WNBA was yesterday, and New York got a big win, 80-66 in the finish.
Oh, man. Anyway, let's put it this way. You're right. You're absolutely right. Are you watching? Listen, you're an NBA nut. Are you getting as much basketball as possible right now?
No, I'm not. I haven't. Admittedly, I haven't watched enough preseason basketball to my liking. I need to dive into it, but I probably will. I mean, by the end of this month, Steve, I'm all in on the NBA. I've pretty much renewed my league pass by the end of this month, and so I'll be diving in. And I'm really looking forward to the start of the NBA season.
Man, I am too. It's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely. And a lot of good storylines to talk about. By the way, Monet in a little bit of trouble here. Nobody out, first and second now with Freddie Freeman up. The Dodgers trying to climb back into this game, and it looks like we could have a potential double play, but no, they just booted it. Iglesias boots a potential double play ball at second base. Now all of a sudden, bases loaded, nobody out. Dodgers coming back here in the bottom of the sixth inning. And again, this is what happens. You know, sometimes bats get hot, fielding gets a little suspect, and that time, no excuse. Iglesias should have turned at least one, if not two. Ball took a tricky hop, and Iglesias did not handle it well at all. He played it off his glove and then went behind him, and now all of a sudden bases loaded for the Dodgers. So they're trying to climb back into it. We've got it all here at the Alehouse. In fact, this is Sports Central. They've even opened up early today for baseball playoff games, and they're opening at 10 a.m. for college football every Saturday. Manea just knocked out, so the Dodgers will try to push some through. The Mets bullpen will try to hang on with a 6-1 game right now here in the bottom of the sixth inning. So an interesting storyline there. UTEP football will play on Wednesday this week. So we will have a very shortened show Wednesday. I think we go on until 6. We'll be broadcasting live from the district on Wednesday prior to the game. Tomorrow, we're only going to be with you for 90 minutes because we're going to bring you Game 2 of the Yankees and the Guardians at 5:30 when that game gets going. So we've got, and then today, obviously, till 6:15. So we have shortened shows for the first 3 days this week, and really all 5 days, because Thursday will take you up to Thursday Night Football, and then Friday we've got UTEP football with Scotty Walden coming up live at 6 before Football Friday Night takes the air. So as you might imagine, we will not have a full 3-hour show with you all week. So if you want to get in, this would be a great time to do it, since we've got a lot to cover on the program today at 505-6009. That is 505-6009. That is our telephone number. So, guys, Cowboys looked awful last night. There's no other way to put it. It was a terrible performance at home. I was arguing with the Foss on texting, going back and forth. Foss, of course, put the entire blame on Dak and put it on the number 4 and says that, he's the reason why the Cowboys are playing poorly. It's like, forget about the injuries right now to Lawrence and Parsons. Forget about the offensive line. Forget about the fact that the Cowboys really have not had good receiving opposite CeeDee Lamb. It is all on number 4 according to Steve Foster. And I got into that discussion with him yesterday. And the reason is, guys, if you're wondering why, Foss says because Dak didn't take less money to build a better team around him, this is on him.
I feel like that's comical, Steve, because what are you telling one of the most highest paid players in the league, in Patrick Mahomes, year after year when he's winning Super Bowls, and he's the highest paid guy in the NFL? Like, it doesn't. That argument to me is so flawed for Dak getting a ton of money and them not being able to financially spend around him. For me, Steve, I go back to the Robert Saleh thing, and I go back to the Jets. Woody Hunt had the opportunity last year to fire Saleh and to find a new coach who could be somebody who's formidable and not necessarily somebody who's in the or put them in the situation where they're at. But the Jets did a smart thing. They cut ties early and they fired Saleh. I just have not been impressed by McCarthy. We've already seen this show before. We've already seen them in the postseason. For Dak, we've already seen him in the playoffs. So why not surround him with somebody who is more offensive-minded and who can suit him better as a play caller if you don't want to move on from him? They clearly don't want to move on from him because they paid him. So now, if you're stuck with Dak, surround him with a better play caller as a coach, in my eyes, than what you have right now.
Oh, listen, I'm not going to argue. I mean, it's bad. It is really, really bad with what you're seeing right now. And Dak is making $60 million a year. But listen, if you want to make the argument, though, let me say this. Patrick Mahomes signed a very team-friendly, Adrian, $45 million a year contract. It's $450 over 10 years. But of the $450 over 10 years, only $63 million is guaranteed. So that means 14% of his contract is guaranteed money. On the flip side of Dak's $240 million extension, paying him $60 million a year for 4 years, $129 million of that is guaranteed. Now, I've tried to explain to Foss, blame Jerry Jones, because he didn't have to pay him what he paid him. He could have spent the whole year and let Dak play out the season before he decided what to do, but he chose to pay him. But, of course, as we know, Foss hates Dak and will find any possible way he can to put this on the quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, just to go back on the blame game and the blame pie with all this right here, maybe it's a mix of all things, all of Dak, Mike McCarthy, and Jerry Jones. I mean, for Patrick Mahomes, counting less than 22% to the cap, that's the same thing for Dak Prescott at 23%. But the biggest thing that critics talked about when it came to this Dallas Cowboys team is they didn't make any moves in the offseason that people felt were formidable enough to actually win them or push them over the top in the postseason. Steve, yesterday, a lot of the issues were defensively. I mean, if you were watching NFL Red Zone, every time they panned or switched over to Cowboys-Lions, Cowboys were on defense, and they were always on their heels. I mean, it was always a clip of Jared Goff driving inside the red zone, it felt like. And that Lions team, big shout-out to Sal Montes. He was in person at Jerry's World to watch it. They got a chance to eat up the Cowboys yesterday in Dallas.
Yeah, that's got to be the greatest thing ever to happen to Sal. I mean, he said, I love this line, I am always team anti-bullying, but I supported it yesterday. Gave them the belt. Wow. How about that?
Although I would say this to Sal, would he have rather watched this game and watched the Lions destroy the Cowboys in Dallas, or would he rather have Aiden Hutchinson for the rest of the season? Man, that was so tough.
Ooh,
losing him.
Yeah.
Losing the best pass rusher in the NFC right now, 4 to 6 month recovery for him.
Yeah, that was awful. That was awful. By the way, Tommy Edman just drove in 2 with the bases loaded, so it's now 6-3. The Dodgers are now just down by 3. They were down by 5. Still first and third, 1 out. And former El Paso Chihuahua Phil Maton pitching for the Mets in relief here in the bottom of the 6th, facing Max Muncy, who had a solo shot earlier in the game. So home run would tie it, but the Mets are hanging on to a 6-3 lead here in the bottom of the 6th as Maton trying to get out of this jam. So you're right about that. The Hutchinson injury was awful, and I guess the one spot to that weekend that would really, the one blemish, you could say, which could be a perfect lead-in for Ricky Ricardo, who wants to get in today and talk Cowboys football. Ricky, you tell us. Give us your assessment of what you've seen so far through the first 6 games of the season.
Guys. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Last week, he got 20 touches. Rico got 87 yards. And yesterday, he only gets 2 touches. Okay? And yet, here comes Zeke, and he cries all week. He gets the ball, and he's running backwards. Come on. You know what? You want to make a statement today? Get rid of Zeke. Put him on the street. That will wake up the team. Now they're talking about firing the coach. Why would you get rid of the coach in the middle of the season? Get rid of Zeke. Get some younger legs. Obviously, they don't want to put Delvin Cook because he's probably worse than Zeke. Need younger legs. 22 years old compared to Zeke's age. What is he, 28, 29? What do you say, guys?
Yeah, look, Zeke yesterday ran the ball 8 times for 17 yards. That is awful. That is 2 yards a carry, and even had some carries late in the game when they were completely out of it. Zeke is 29 years old. Dowdle yesterday only rushed 5 times for 25 yards, but it's 5 yards a carry. So, again, it just makes you wonder, and he also had 5 receptions for 30 yards in the game. But the fact is, Adrian, the bigger story, the Cowboys ran the ball 17 times for 53 yards. That is part of the issue. They don't have a running game.
They don't, and they're probably one of the worst running offenses, if not the worst in the NFL. It's really a sad thing to watch. They didn't address the position over the offseason. This is what happens when you don't address that position, Steve. Very disappointing right here with this group, right? And that's why they have to pass all the time. That's why you wonder why they paid Dak all this money. Well, he's attempting like 50 passes a game. That's crazy right there.
It really is. And, yes, again, there's a lot of things to talk about with this team. I know that Jerry said the reason they didn't get Derrick Henry was they couldn't afford him, and that all goes back to the Prescott contract and how that really kind of tied this team up a little bit to grab the kind of players they want or what they need, but there's so many issues. But if the Cowboys just decided to cut ties with Zeke, I'm sure a lot of fans like Ricky Ricardo wouldn't be upset about that because he's not doing anything right now. 20 past, I've got our former intern, Michael Plundo, on the line. We'll get to Michael right after Charlie, who's first up with traffic. Bases loaded, 1 out, 6-3 with Kike Hernandez up right now. We'll tell you what happens when we come back live from Border City Alehouse. It's Sports Talk in 600 ESPN El Paso. Extra play for the Mets defensively.
Steve, I heard the worry in your voice a little in that bottom of the 6th inning and the sigh of relief that you took after that double play right there. That was huge for the Mets, and you know what? This game, if you steal Game 2 in L.A., it bodes so well for the Mets moving forward in this series.
It does. They need it. They need to come back down 1-1. That is for sure. So we will see if it happens. But that was a big-time double play for the Mets there to get out of it. All right, we got a lot more in store for you. 505-6009, that is our telephone number to get into the show. You can also message us on our 600 ESPN El Paso app like Pinky has. In fact, Pinky messaged us with this one, guys. Alberto is waiting for you all to leave the studio so he can sleep and wake up and go down the hall in the morning. Smart.
Yeah, he might have got me. Definitely, maybe.
So you're getting a maybe on that. Have you slept at the radio station before?
No.
Well, there's no reason to start now. You do have a home. It's not like you have to stay here.
Yes, remember that tent I showed you right next to the station?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's a good tent. I like that tent. It actually works well for
It's
you.
a Coleman.
Well, there it is. That's why you should give that some serious consideration. All right, 27 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. Oh, one other thing I need to alert our listenership of, very important. So I need to just explain this so people understand, okay? When ESPN Radio airs these baseball playoff games, like they have the Dodger-Met game right now, but we can't play the game because we have Sports Talk at 4 and we've got Monday Night Football at 6:15. So therefore, ESPN Radio takes off their regular programming and goes into alternate programming, which are their podcasts. And I know it drives some listeners absolutely crazy, but they play the same exact podcasts over and over and over again every day. And listeners feel like they're in the twilight zone because how many times have they heard Coach K on the podcast? That is simply ESPN Radio's decision of how they fill their time. We've requested other podcasts just to give it some variety or something that would be, even if they had live programming, it would be nice, but they don't. So I know I saw D earlier from Ruidoso chime in on the app, and he was frustrated. D, we are all frustrated, but that is just how ESPN Radio programs it from a national network level, that if you don't take the baseball game, you get the same podcasts, and they just don't change it. Why? I don't know. That's just how they do it. So want to make sure people understand we are not trying to drive you crazy every afternoon if we're not airing one of these baseball games like today. Okay, we are approaching the bottom of the hour. Let's say hello to Michael Plundo, our former intern, who's joining us on the phones right now from Lubbock as we continue here on Sports Talk. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing great, Steve. Good to call in with you guys.
Hey, good to have you back, and I'm sure for you after yesterday's big win over the Raiders, pretty happy camper breaking that 2-game losing streak.
Yeah, very happy camper. Very nice bounce-back win. A very good statement one after losing a heartbreaker to Dallas on the last play of the game. Good out to go out and get a statement win against a leaky team, and we got your Jets coming up, Steve, so I'm very curious to see how we approach Aaron Rodgers.
That makes two of us. I'm interested to see what happens tonight against Buffalo, one game at a time, if you ask me. But, yes, there's a lot in store, and I'm like you, waiting to see what happens when it's all said and done, and if they, if the Jets show up tonight, or if it's going to be another disappointing, frustrated night for Jet fans.
Absolutely. New interim coach, but Jeff Ulbrich, highly respected within the Jets organization, so he's got the team support, and the support has him. So I feel like the Jets can go out and get a good win, play with some fire, first game without Saleh, and just see what works and see what happens.
That's absolutely right. I agree. What else is going on?
Texas Tech, I'm also very happy about them. Top 3 in the Big 12, one of the only few teams 3-0 in conference play. I'm very excited to see where they go because if you remember, Steve, I wasn't very excited about them going into the year.
No, you weren't. And, I mean, they're 5-1 overall, 3-0. And, you look at what they've done. They've won 4 straight. They beat Arizona in a close game. In fact, they've been in close games throughout. Arizona State was tight. Cincinnati was tight. Arizona was close. The Abilene Christian game made us worry, wondering if this team was going to be able to win some contests. But you look at the schedule coming up. Baylor, TCU, Iowa State, and those last 2 games are going to be on the road, so they'll be tested soon enough.
They will be. You can kind of describe that as kind of like the gauntlet to end their schedule, so Texas Tech will definitely be challenged, especially with that young defense led by true sophomore standout Ben Roberts. But I like the offense. I think they're gaining rhythm with Taj Brooks running the ball well. Aaron Morton being smart, not turning the ball over, something that was a problem last year when he came back from injury. So if Texas Tech can just continue to play smart football and not make crucial mistakes like they have in recent memory, they could be playing for the Big 12, Steve.
They sure could. You never know. It's very possible. Very possible. So be fun to see how that develops. You should just be happy that Texas is out of the conference this year. You picked a good year for Texas to leave.
Very good year, especially after last year's result. I don't want to see them for a while.
I don't blame you. All right, great job. Thanks for calling in today. Thanks for waiting around, and always good to hear your voice, Michael. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, you got it. 32 past as we continue here on Sports Talk. Speaking of Baylor, boy, they're going nowhere. You got to figure that maybe Mack Rhodes just ends the Dave Aranda era after this season, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's possibly the case, Steve. It's real interesting right now in the Big 12, just kind of where everybody stacks up. I'm kind of like you. I kind of want to see how teams, rank when it's all said and done in a post-Oklahoma, a post-Texas Big 12. Like, imagine if those 2 schools were in the Big 12 right now, what kind of a wrench that would throw into the mix. That'd be interesting right there. But for Baylor fans, yeah, I'd be pretty disappointed on how this season has gone and how the previous previous seasons have gone as well.
Yep, that's right. I'm with you. All right. We are past the bottom of the hour. Let's send it back to Sebastian as we continue. He's standing by with this Sports Center update. Pro wrestling fans on the Drew McIntyre CM Punk saga. If you get a chance, check that out. 600 ESPN ElPaso.com when you have the opportunity. It's good stuff, and definitely something to check and be, get a good little wrestling primer, which is also very nice. And while you're at it, Adrian has our Football Friday Night recap from Week 7 with all the final scores and how things are going. Any major upsets over the weekend that you want to talk about, Adrian?
Not crazy upsets. We're just starting to get into the final couple weeks, Steve. This past weekend, there's not a lot to talk about when a team beats another 71-0, and that was Del Valle destroying Hanks. But Jake Fetty had 8 touchdown passes, Steve, in the first half. Do you think they should have kept him in the second half playing for him to try to break the Texas State record, which was 11 touchdown passes?
Wow, I never thought about that. Do you think they even knew what that was at the point?
That's what I was telling Alberto. I was like, somebody should have ran down to Coach Contreras at halftime and said, hey, Jake Fetty could maybe flirt with something like this.
Yeah, that would be, that would have been something special. Although Jake Fetty is just building that resume, piece by piece, isn't he?
He is. He's like my standout every single week. I've been so impressed by him. This past week, I left very impressed with schools like Irvin who are hanging in. We've got a great game this week, our 915 Tours game of the week. It's Austin taking on Irvin. It should be an excellent matchup out of the 4A ranks. All these 4A games have been going down to the wire. The Franklin-Eastwood game was pretty solid. The Cougars distanced themselves thanks to 2 late fourth-quarter touchdowns, so that ended up being a pretty good game and very competitive when it was all said and done. And out of the 6A ranks, Steve, Pebble Hills is showing right now why they want to be considered one of the best teams in that division, or that district, I should say. So high school football really heating up here in El Paso. We've got some excellent prospects who are getting great college offers right now. And so, we'll be excited to heat up here in the final 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep, I feel like that's exactly right because, again, quality is getting better. Quality of players, coaches, everything about it. So, love it. And by the way, I didn't even realize. I was just going to the website right now, checking out Twitter and X. Some good stuff. Some really, really good stuff. We didn't even talk about the Rhinos either. That's another topic to bring up right now, Adrian, because this past Friday they split series against the Lone Star Brahmas. So they're now 6-5 overall. They go to Odessa to take on the Jacks. This, coming up in about the next 11 days.
Hey, we haven't had a chance to talk a lot of El Paso Rhinos hockey. They're a great squad. They've had a lot. They just started off, some of their home games as of late. So it's a great opportunity to go out, watch some El Paso Rhinos hockey, and they'll start to heat up here soon enough. So we're talking about how busy we are here in just the sports world in the month of October with the Rhinos starting things off. That's exciting right there. I'm happy that they split a 2-game series, like you mentioned, against the Brahmas.
You're right. Meanwhile, you went earlier today to the Sun Bowl. You spoke to Corey Wren, Kenny Odom, Skylar Locklear, and Scotty Walden as they get ready for their Wednesday game with Florida International. And Cade McConnell, injury update, game time decision, Adrian, for Wednesday's game against FIU.
So, the big note after practice today is questionable for Cade McConnell still going into Wednesday's game against Florida International. Interesting because, you only have that 6 days, so you figure Cade got hurt last Thursday. He's got to amp up quickly, Steve. They said that he's been throwing at practice, which is interesting because if it is, some kind of a shoulder or wrist injury that Cade is experiencing, whatever it is, I'm hoping that he's been able to see the right specialist, and I'm hoping that he's on the mend because this football team will look to him as the starting quarterback if he's healthy, and if he is not, they'll go with Skylar Locklear here for Wednesday's game.
Very true. All right, 20 in front of 5 as Sports Talk continues. A whole lot more in store for you. We are live at 1506 Lee Trevino. It is Border City Alehouse and Sports Talk Live as we get you ready for the Jets and Bills. Come down and watch it with us and take advantage of their all-new menu, their happy hour specials, and all the great prizes you can win here at halftime. All coming up, 600 ESPN El Paso. 47 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. It is crazy that right now, we could see Cade McConnell under center on Wednesday. In fact, listen, he is as old school as it gets. So apparently Cade, who we all know had the wrist injury last Thursday, has been, as you said, Adrian, earlier, playing with it taped up. I love it. I mean, this is as throwback as it gets, where if you've got an injury, tape it as good as possible, and as long as I can get out there and attempt to throw the football and I can get it there, I'm going to play. That's basically what number 11 is right now for Utah.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy is kind of what we've known him to be ever since he stepped foot in El Paso, and that's tough as nails. I mean, you could say a lot about Cade McConnell. I mean, you could say, hey, this guy is somebody who hasn't, he's a 2-5 quarterback when he starts games for UTEP. Sure, that's one of those things. But you also talk about his toughness and what he brings to the field. I mean, he's as tough as it gets at that quarterback position. If this is really the case right here, I'm very impressed because it felt like, I mean, even from afar, Steve, that when he went down with that injury, I didn't know if he was going to come back at any point.
Well, I didn't either. And we still don't know. We still don't know for sure if he'll be able to play. But it sounds like as long as he can get out there, he's not going to, he's not going to take a back seat and not want to get in. I guess you work this hard to get your opportunity, and when you finally get it, the last thing you want is to have it taken away from you due to injury. So McConnell's the kind of guy to me that as long as he knows he's not hurting the team being out there, if he can play, he's going to do that.
Yeah, like speaking of hurting the team, I think this past week at Utah, Cam Rising hurt the team being out there. He was not healthy. So when you watch that Utah State game, Utah Arizona State game, you really saw the limitations from Cam Rising. I didn't see that from Cade this past week against Western Kentucky until he had that interception at the end and basically couldn't go any further. So I feel like if Cade McConnell is at a certain percentage, just throw him out there, see what he could do, because he probably gives you the best opportunity to win.
This came on Twitter and X from Esteban. Steve, Alabama barely beat unranked South Carolina by 2 points, and yet they didn't drop in the rankings from 7th in the AP. What gives? Yeah, it's crazy because they didn't drop. I'll tell you who did drop, though, Tennessee. Now, Tennessee dropped 3 spots because they beat Florida 23-17. And I don't see a lot of difference between Florida and South Carolina in the rankings. So it does make me wonder if Alabama just doesn't drop because of name only, and that's why. Because this is 2 weeks in a row they haven't been impressive. They were lucky to win against South Carolina over the weekend.
As a SEC enthusiast, Steve, and I'll call myself that, I love the SEC this year. It's basically amateur football right now, what we've seen weekly. This South Carolina team is good. I think this team is legit. They've got an excellent pass rush. It speaks to how deep the SEC really is. This team hasn't won a significant game, but you look at their losses and how close they've been in some of the games. I've been impressed by the South Carolina team in a big way. Their defense is ruthless. Their defensive line might be the best in the SEC. So, yeah, I think that the Gamecocks are a lot better than the Gators, at least from what I've watched in the SEC.
Meanwhile, you look at who dropped. Tennessee dropped 3 spots. Notre Dame dropped a spot. LSU jumped all the way up 5 spots in the AP from 13 to 8. And Iowa State went up from 11 to 9. Now, Iowa State is still undefeated at 6-0. LSU in that terrific football game against Ole Miss, which really was one of the best games of the weekend. Between that and the Ohio State-Oregon game, not to mention the Penn State comeback against USC, we had some terrific college football games this weekend.
Yeah, that Oregon-Ohio State game might be played again in the college football playoff. That's how good those teams are. That's how close that game was. I'm very impressed with that Oregon offense. They lost one of their best receivers, and they were able to hang in there. Tez Johnson, very impressive on his side. And then, you talk about a team that is starting to trend upward in the rankings, Steve, and that is Iowa. Well, I've been impressed by some of the other Big Ten squads like the Oregons, like the Ohio States of the world, and even Penn State, which pulled off that crazy comeback. It's an excellent college football slate so far that we've seen, and we didn't even get to talk about Texas just beating down on OU. Red River rivalry this weekend. Is it really a rivalry when you win that bad?
Well, let's be honest. A quarter and a half into that football game, it was a boring 7-3 game. Texas looked bad. Oklahoma looked worse. And then all of a sudden, Texas was able to produce, turnover after turnover, convert them for scores, and they blew that game wide open in about a 5-minute period in the second quarter.
It kind of looks like everybody else versus Texas, but I guess this weekend will be the real test, right? Having Georgia, on their radar, I can't wait for it. It's awesome. And I just say it's Texas's rivalry series. I guess I forget very quickly, Steve, that Oklahoma went into this one after coming back, rallying, and beating Texas last year in a close game.
That's true. That is true. And by the way, regarding the Georgia game, it is in Austin. And that is game of the year material for Texas. And that that is, if you look at their schedule, other than A&M on the road the last week of the season, that's the only significant game left for the Longhorns. Because I'm not going to say Vanderbilt the following week isn't a trap game, but to me, it's not even close to what they're going to get and be tested as far as Georgia goes.
Yeah, if you're Texas, the expectation is to run the slate for the rest of the season. That's a tough expectation to follow when you're in the SEC, but I think that's how good this Texas team has shown they can be. I love them defensively. They've really shown a lot there. I think the Kentucky game might be more of a trap game, although Vanderbilt, how they've been playing, especially at home, that's definitely a game to circle. That's October 26th. So, yeah, interesting rest of the season for Texas. I'm definitely most worried, if I'm Texas or a fan of Texas, of Georgia coming into Austin this weekend.
Yeah, there's no doubt. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Diego Pavia get Texas a couple of years ago?
I'm not sure. With New Mexico State, that's what you're asking? I think that might be right. Yeah, I think that might be right.
So, all right. One down. We got about an hour and 20 minutes to go. We're live, Border City Alehouse. Come down and see us, folks. 1506 Lee Trevino, hanging with you on a Monday as Sports Talk continues. 600 ESPN El Paso. The New York Mets are 4 outs away from wrapping this one up. Ryan Stanek pitching in relief right now. It's 6-3 our score, and you heard that a moment ago from Adrian. And yes, as a Mets fan, getting this thing even at a game apiece would be a big-time thing for the Mets. But it's been a fun series so far, and, man, the Dodgers just won't go away. Tommy Edman with another 2-out hit. So the Dodgers with some life trying to close the gap, which is currently 3. And later this hour, Yankees Guardians will get started for their first game from Yankee Stadium. So if you love baseball, we got our final 4 left right now here, and it's all live with us today at the Alehouse, Border City Alehouse. We're happy hour going on right now. In fact, $4 domestic draft beers. We've got the $4 tall domestic draft beers, $4 Hornitos, Crown, and Tito's. Plus, we have the $6 Alehouse nachos, chips, and queso. Not to mention 6 flavors of mouth-watering wings, half-pound handmade smash burgers, all new sandwiches, sides, and starters. It's all here on the menu at Border City Alehouse, 1506 Lee Trevino, and we're also watching baseball. We'll be watching Monday Night Football with the Jets and the Bills and giving away prizes, more prizes, like 3 pairs of tickets for Wednesday's football game between UTEP and FIU at the Sun Bowl. We also have a card and 2 green fees for Horizon Golf and Conference Center at 16,000 Ashford Street. You want to go to Horizon Golf and play a little golf with the cart? We've got that for you. Our friends, George Reynoso and company, and his team out at All That Music and Video Collectors Marketplace right there at the Fountains of Farah, just below the Best Buy parking lot. We are going to be giving away all sorts of goodies. We've got the Jets and Bills lanyards and bottle opener keychains. Those are customary. Tom Pullen and his team ordering for us every week. He got us this great DVD, Almost a Dynasty, a fan story talking about the Buffalo Bills of the 90s. That's going to be given away, and the 80s for that matter. And then we also have a Joe Namath Pop Funko. It is great. It is those popular Funkos, and it will be given away here at halftime of the football game. So come down and join us and take advantage while we have everything in stock for you. All right, we've talked about a lot of good sports to begin things. In fact, we've talked a little UTEP in anticipation for the FIU game coming up this Saturday. I'm not going to lie to you. The fact that Cade McConnell's been practicing this week is nothing short of a miracle. I still even know how that's even possible after what I saw on Thursday. So all the credit to him. And if he can make it a go, and he is anywhere near 100%, that would be a huge opportunity for UTEP going up against FIU. Because remember, that was his coming out party. That was the night he ruined Vice Night in Miami last year for the Panthers and their fans when he had those touchdown strikes in the first half and led UTEP to that dominant win on ESPN2. And it was also while he was at the station all the time. So for us, he went from fourth string to first string overnight. And Adrian, we've talked about this a lot over the years, but for like last fall, we felt like proud parents watching Cade McConnell light up FIU. It was a great feeling.
Yeah, and feeling that same way going into this week. You look at this FIU team, Steve, and you realize this is a 2-4 team. I mean, obviously the offense looks different when it's Cade versus Skyler, but if Cade gets the go this week, and they at least can limit some of the mistakes that they had in the previous home game. I'm talking about the 12 penalties that they racked up. Maybe they stand a chance against a team who I'm not convinced is good. I mean, this is a team again who's 2-4, FIU program that has to go all the way from Miami to El Paso this week on a Wednesday, and it's a late kickoff for them. This would be a 9:00 local time for them kickoff, and for El Paso, it's a 7:00 kickoff on CBS Sports Network. So, I mean, it's possible. UTEP is still searching for its first win. They're 0-6. They're going to get a couple other chances this year to get their first win against Kennesaw State and New Mexico State, but they'll definitely have an opportunity this week.
I know. It just seems crazy to even go there, but it could be possible. You never know. This could be Wednesday could be the night. So hopefully we'll get some fans out to the Sun Bowl Stadium. I have no idea what to expect crowd-wise. I mean, I feel bad this is Hall of Fame weekend because, well, actually not even weekend. It's Hall of Fame week. They got the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies tomorrow, and then they're going to be honored at the football game on Wednesday. And I just wish they could have done this the first home game of the season when they had 41,000 for Southern Utah and not Wednesday. But you know what? Nobody knows what the schedule is going to bring. Nobody knew 6 weeks ago this would be an 0-6 football team going into the game against FIU. So you just got to make the best of it. And I'm just happy that we've got the Hall of Fame class for UTEP getting honored tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll be great in itself, Steve. This is an exciting week for UTEP athletics for sure. Whenever they have a Hall of Fame week and stuff like that, it's always a big deal. And then they'll get a chance to do this on national television, right? I mean, get a chance to honor the members of this class here this week. That'll be a huge thing for them. So, yeah, looking forward to it all around. I mean, of course, it's a Conference USA weeknight matchups that will continue for the rest of this month. Next week, it's a Tuesday game, so Wednesday game this week. It's just something to get used to, right?
Yep, that's right. It's for at least one more year. That's it. I mean, after next year, assuming the Mountain West doesn't do this, starting in 2026, and they stay conventional Saturdays, we'll go back to normal.
That's right. Actually, normal for the Mountain West is late kickoff, so get ready for the new normal to be like a 10 p.m. kickoff in Hawaii or something like that.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine.
Me too. I'm good with that.
I mean, you know what? Years ago when UTEP played in Hawaii, that was the kickoff time, 10 o'clock. That was it, 10-1. That was the norm back in those days because I think 10 o'clock in Hawaii is or 10 o'clock in El Paso is really 7 o'clock in Hawaii.
Okay, so I was saying like a 9 p.m. or a 10 p.m. kickoff like El Paso time out in Hawaii. But regardless, I think it's totally possible right there, and we'll see it a lot in basketball too. But I think the new normal for Mountain West, that's exciting, just to ditch some of these weeknight games and give fans an opportunity to go watch some college football in person when you have home games on a Saturday evening instead of a Wednesday evening.
Oh, it's so true. 505-6009. That is our telephone number if you want to weigh in. 505-6009. Nick Sirianni yelled at the Eagles Boo Birds after Sunday's win. Apologized today. And, look, he said that he was sorry and disappointed about how his energy was directed at the end of the game. Listen, when you have a head coach who gets into it with the fans in his home stadium after a win, that's a bad sign that, Nick Sirianni could be on borrowed time. I know everybody's talking about Mike McCarthy, but let's be honest. Philadelphia is a 3-2 football team that's got a ton of issues right now. A ton of issues.
Both those teams. I mean, yesterday, you look at Cleveland and Philadelphia. That game was like the battle of bad. I hated that one. I mean, Hurts is obviously playing. I don't know if he's dealing with some sort of an injury or what, but he just doesn't look the same. I've been very disappointed with him. I've been disappointed with Sirianni's in-game adjustments. So a lot of this does fall on coaching. And if he wants to go out and boo their fans, then he's got to be ready and willing when they go back to Philadelphia on November 3rd to receive some of those boos himself if they end up losing or falling behind to the Jaguars. So, this is a really weird time to be an Eagles fan because just 2 seasons ago, this organization, this franchise was in the Super Bowl. And how far they've fallen since, Steve. And it hasn't been like they've drafted poorly. They've drafted some pretty exceptional guys. It's just not getting it all together. They're just looking unimpressive in some of these games.
So true. So true. Now, I look at yesterday's games, guys, and look at what happened. I mean, first off, the Bears look like a team now. All of a sudden, they look legit after they dismantled a terrible Jacksonville team that's going absolutely – they're in the wrong direction. That's an awful franchise, and you got to figure that, it's just going to be a matter of time maybe until we start to see the next, coaching casualty for the Jags. Doug Peterson's days could be numbered because that is just an awful, awful situation. Cardinals looked bad in Green Bay yesterday, and now they got the issue with Marvin Harrison Jr. and the concussion. The Texans look terrific again. The Bucs threw 51 on the Saints. How can the Saints go from 2-0 and looking unbelievable to now 2-4 and just like the wheels are falling off?
Yeah, maybe it's all these. It's a product of all these coaches carrying over from last year when they weren't really good last year to close off the season. It's Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. It's Sirianni in Philadelphia. It's even like we just mentioned, Dennis Allen in New Orleans. These coaches last year had a lot of question marks. They didn't do a lot to fix a lot of those question marks this offseason. So now we're asking those same questions. I mean, for New Orleans, they were without Derek Carr. They had Spencer Rattler there. So what do we expect from a rookie quarterback there? And for the Jaguars, speaking of rookie, Trevor Lawrence is not a rookie. He's not young anymore. And he's starting to show his true colors, and his true colors might be that he's a mediocre to subpar quarterback versus the spectacular prospect of quarterback that we thought he would be when he first joined the NFL.
Yeah, he was supposed to be can't miss. That was the word on Trevor Lawrence was teams wanted a tank for Trevor because he was supposed to be the next great thing. In fact, if you remember correctly, the Jets won and ended up with Zach Wilson because they couldn't get Trevor Lawrence first overall like Jacksonville was able to get him. So who knows? Maybe the Jets can trade for Trevor Lawrence, get him on the cheap, and groom him as the next young quarterback after Aaron Rodgers' days are over.
Yeah, they could pull a reverse Sam Darnold right there and see if he can have some kind of a bounce back there. So I think that could, maybe there's something there with that. For Chicago, Steve, I'll just point this out. They had the easier part of their schedule with these 3 straight wins against the Rams, against the Panthers, and against the Jaguars. Coming up next, it's at Washington, at Arizona, and then a home game against the Patriots, home game against the Packers. If they're able to go 2-2 in that stretch, I do like Chicago's chances to maybe be a late blooming playoff team when it's all said and done. But for this group right here, they haven't played the NFC North. The NFC North looks fantastic between the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers. And oh, by the way, you throw in a 4-2 Chicago team. Well, this division looks excellent, at least how it stands right now.
It sure does. It sure does. I think the NFC North is could be the best division of football. I mean, really, you think about it, Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, I don't know if top to bottom you're going to find any division that's even close, remotely close to where that division is right now. Give credit to the Falcons. They hung 38 on a bad Panthers team yesterday. The Bengals and Giants, that was a terrible Sunday night football game. It was really all defense. In fact, the Bengals, I saw a stat they had 1 in 166 was their record when they scored 10 points. And they were going to win the second game ever with just 10 points scored. And then they got that touchdown at the very end to pad that lead and win 17-7. But just like the Cowboys, the Giants can't play at home. They were terrible yesterday, and that division is a bad one. Like I said, the Giants are 2-4. The Cowboys are a mediocre 3-3. But go figure this. Dallas is 0-3 at home, 3-0 on the road.
That's a funny stat right there in itself. I mean, I get it. Sometimes it's about the competition you play. That's the product of playing the Ravens, playing the Lions early on in the season, but still, it's an interesting stat. The NFC East, maybe that's the new NFC South, Steve, at least for this season. Maybe a team who's 9-8, 8-1 or something like that ends up making the playoffs when it's all said and done. I like Washington. I think that they're the best looking team up to this point right now. For Dallas, I'm just not in. Philly's got to fix some things fast, and then the Giants, you can't convince me that team's going to turn things around this year.
You're right. You want to talk football with us? We'd love to do it with you. Cowboys fans, maybe this year is better than years past, and here's why I say that. Cowboy fans have not been filled with this much doubt early on, in the season in a long time with their football team. Right now, they're 6 games in, and I guarantee you that if you polled every Cowboys fan in El Paso, none of them would tell you that they feel like they're going to win a playoff game, maybe even make the playoffs the way this team is right now. So isn't that better knowing that in mid-October than having to wait till January for them to just snatch it all away from you when you finally believe that this is the year?
Oh, that sounds so depressing, Steve.
Hey, welcome to Jets football. This is my life every single year. So, yes, is it depressing? 1,000%. Is it what I go through on a yearly basis? You better believe it.
I think it's more like false hope for the Cowboy fans, because just when they have a bad game, then they turn around and make you believe, then they rope you back into it, and then they have another bad one. The close win against the Steelers gave some fans some hope, and then now all that hope just washes away after losing to the Lions. At home, mind you, at home, 47-9. That's disgusting right there.
It is. It is. Well, you know what? I've got good news for the Cowboys and their fans. They got a bye week this week, and then they get to go on the road 2 weeks in a row against 2 excellent football teams where they're so far 3-0. So 49ers and Falcons on the road before they come home for the Eagles and Texans. Tell me that is not a brutal 4-game stretch for a team that already has plenty of issues right now.
Yeah, I just feel like with the next 4 games right here, when's the game where you kind of right the ship, or when's the game? Do they get Parsons back by that 49ers game? I don't know. There's still a lot of question marks I have, just period, with this Dallas Cowboys team, how they're built right now going into this next 4-week stretch.
They might not be able to right the ship until November 28th against the Giants at home, because after the Texans, they got to go play at the Commanders, who suddenly look like a real football team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that Thanksgiving game. Maybe that's it right there, and that's disappointing. You know, if you're a Cowboys fan, you had much higher expectations this year, and this year it looks like a mediocre to subpar start, and maybe even finish when it's all said and done.
20 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. Top 9, Mets still up 6-3. Runner on second for Starlin Marte with one out. We'll come back, tell you what happens, and keep the show going. We're right up till the end of this one, which will be 6:15. And Jets-Bills coming up, 600 ESPN El Paso. 24 past the hour as we continue. That's 24 past the hour. 505-6009. 505-6009. That is our telephone number. The text Truth gets into the show on Twitter and X. I will be at the game Wednesday. Can't wait to see Dallas Cowboys great Tony Tolbert. Hope UTEP does some marketing for these amazing Hall of Famers. Go Miners. Yeah, that's another one. I mean, Tony Tolbert's a big draw. And coming back to his alma mater to be honored as a Hall of Famer, man, Adrian, it's just one of those nights where I feel for all those guys because we kind of just know what, you know, the crowd that's going to be there Wednesday night.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Tolbert, my dad will tell me all the stories, tell me how great he was, tell me all the great, memories that he has for UTEP football with him. That's a tough one. You could also see an Olympian, Steve, and Toby Amuson.
Yep.
So talk about, I mean, the stars will be there come Wednesday for the 2024 Athletics Hall of Fame.
Oh, they will. They will. And we're giving away tickets tonight here at the Alehouse. In fact, if you don't win tonight, you can even win on Wednesday when we go live at the District prior to the game, giving tickets away then too. So a lot of opportunities to win if you have not yet picked up your tickets for the game Wednesday night between UTEP and FIU out at the Sun Bowl. And Adrian, I'm looking. I'm doing what I always do. I'm loading the seat map just to confirm what I already believe is happening right now with these tickets for the game. And, oh, yeah. There is, wow. Okay. Well, all I can tell you is it's exactly the way you would expect it to be for this game. Now, in defense of UTEP, I did check the the west side, the east side, not the west side. So now I looked at the west side, and yeah, based on everything, if they have, my goodness, I mean, if they have 10,000 there Wednesday night, that will be a great, great crowd. This one is not looking particularly promising right now. Not at all, even in the slightest.
Yeah, you think about it, Steve, just the fact that they had intercession the last time around when UTEP played a home game on a weeknight game, which ended up being a Thursday, and they had a sale with that. It was like a $6 bundle and $12 bundle, whatever, ended up being per ticket. This time around it's just an uphill battle, knowing that it's a Wednesday, knowing that it's a work night, school night, even if it was a good UTEP football team. Yeah,
that's true. You're right. Even if this was a team that right now was 6-0, not 0-6, you know, you can't just say you're going to have great crowds because nobody knows. Nobody knows. But all I can tell you is, yeah, this one's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. And, you know, look, you can't. All you can say is that when you're 0-6 and you're playing on a Wednesday night, this is the end result. I mean, this is just what it comes down to. Although, Adrian, I'll tell you what, even if you play this game on a Saturday, when this is the kind of start you've had to your season, unless you're giving away buy one get one free tickets, I don't know how you make it work.
They didn't make it work last year on Saturday games late in the year. So, yeah, I mean, history has already said it. I think that FIU game just had under 11,000 people last year, Steve. So, or it wasn't Florida International, but it was one of the final season games of the season last year. Can't remember which one, but it was a pretty low attendance game. And you're right. I mean, these games, even if they were a Saturday, even if this team did play on an evening game or whatever, it could be on a weekend night. It's still hard to draw fans when the attention, the energy is not there for this football program right now as it was to start the year.
Sebastian, you have any good suggestions and ideas on how to get a late crowd push for Wednesday night?
Oh, man. You're putting me on the spot here. Decrease the beverage prices. Decrease everything. Free popcorn, free food. You're in a tough situation. Wednesday, students are dealing with midterms. People back in elementary, middle, high school have school. Decrease the food prices. Give people a reason to go out to the stadium. And frankly, if you maybe wear some cool uniforms, because the way UTEP is performing isn't something to be necessarily proud of, to say the least.
Gosh, decrease the food costs. I mean, maybe they put together a food deal. I don't know. I mean, Adrian, that's an idea. Every ticket you buy is loaded with like a food voucher or something like that.
Every paid ticket, nickel beer, at least for one beer, brought to you by our great friends at Dead Beach.
Oh my God! Can you imagine Dead Beach doing nickel beer night at a Sun Bowl game?
It would be legendary. They might go viral. They might have a ton of attention come their way because of it.
The party patio would give an all new meaning to the party patio, wouldn't it?
Oh man, buy a pass. At least your first 2 rounds, a nickel.
Man, that would be something to behold. Alberto, any ideas?
All right, I'm going to put exact numbers on it. So you go with something similar like New Mexico State. You give them a $10 ticket price, and that it comes with a hot dog, only a hot dog, and that way you incentivize people getting drinks. And also, I only speak the truth. This is just 100%. People aren't going to want to hear it, but this is really what's going to fill up your seats. $3 beers. Yeah, I know people might get it a little out of hand, but lower than beer costs $10 seats. Give them a hot dog, make them a little thirsty. $3 beers.
They do $3 beers at Chihuahuas games.
Yeah, that's where I got the number because $1, $2 is too much. $3 is a good price in my opinion.
Yep, I'm hearing you. $3 beers. Well, I mean, maybe they could do a bunch of things like $3 hot dogs, $3 popcorn, $3 beers, $3 drinks, or $3 whatever. I mean, that might be the way to go. So, I don't know though. Gosh, it's if you have any ideas, folks, on what to do for Wednesday night's game, give us a call. We're always open for suggestions. 505-6009. Mets trying to close it out. Dodgers have runners on first and second. Nobody out in the bottom of the ninth, down 7-3. And their closer, Edwin Diaz, is facing Mookie Betts on a 1-2 count here with the Mets trying to even it at a game apiece. And Betts just laid off on a check swing, so we'll keep you updated on this. But right now, back to Sebastian and another bottom-of-the-hour Sports Center update. I wonder if Notre Dame is finally embracing NIL.
Well, to be frank,
because they hadn't embraced NIL at all, guys, and that was part of their problem. And I wonder if now they're finally realizing they even Notre Dame have to use NIL in the recruiting game.
Well, frankly, what it looks like that was here, there isn't many statistics on what exactly swayed Herbert's decision, but it's just weird. He decommits from Clemson a couple days ago, and now he commits to Notre Dame. So the statistics aren't exactly released, but frankly, you could argue if there's some money involved there.
I would think so. All right, 2 outs right now. Freddie Freeman, the last chance for the Dodgers as they trail 7-3 with runners on first and second and 2 outs, and Edwin Diaz trying to end this game so the Mets can take a split back to New York and Citi Field for Game 3 coming up on Wednesday night. So big opportunity here for the Mets if they can end it, and now the Dodgers down to their final strike. So unless Freddie Freeman can get on base and keep this one alive, the Mets now looking very much like they are going to even this at a game apiece. So, and Dodger fans are looking concerned, and yet we're still waiting to see a battle between Edwin Diaz and Freddie Freeman. All right, 505-6009. That is our telephone number to get into the show, 505-6009, as we continue here on Sports Talk. And Freeman has just struck out, so that takes care of the Dodgers. And now, all of a sudden, we've got a little bit of a series here, and, man, Citi Field is going to be an absolute wild place to be this Wednesday and Thursday for those games 3 and 4 between the Mets and the Dodgers. So, Yankees Guardians coming up next, and the Bills and Jets here at 6:15. All of that with us live at Border City Alehouse, 1506 Lee Trevino. Don't forget, not only happy hour, but their all-new menu featuring brand new sides like natural cut fries, tater tots. They also have new starters like pretzel bites, loaded, buffalo chicken fries, new to the menu. Also, fried pickles, new to the menu. And I look at some of the other great items, the glizzies, like the Chicago glizzy and the chili cheese glizzy. They also have taco and quesadilla shops, which is something also new. Their fajita tacos are completely overhauled, and they are delicious. Had those last week. You can also enjoy not just great specials during happy hour, but how about every day from 9 to close? $1.50 wings, $6 pizzas. That's also happening here at Border City Alehouse. Let's go to Eddie in Fort Bliss. He joins us next as Sports Talk continues. Eddie, congratulations on a big win yesterday afternoon as the Ravens able to hold off the Commanders.
That was a good game. Two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL going at it. I enjoyed it pretty much.
Yeah,
congratulations on your Mets today.
Thank you. They just got it done. Hey, is Lamar young anymore? I mean, I guess he is. He's still 27. Like, isn't it hard to believe a guy that's been in the league since 2018, and yet, he's like an old 27, isn't he? Because we talk about him being a young quarterback, because he technically is. Should be in the prime of his career, but guy's been playing now for, what is this, his 7th season?
Steve, I feel like an old 27. I am 27, so if I'm an old 27 myself, I'm gonna take that right there. I'm gonna assume that role right there that you just gave for Lamar Jackson. What do you think?
I like it. I think you are. Yeah, we should all be old 27s, right, Eddie?
Oh, I would hope so. I'm well past that, just like you are. But I appreciate you being 27, Adrian. Hey. I was thinking about this. You know how they always joke around and say the NFL script says? Do you really think that Major League Baseball isn't salivating right now because 3 of their 4 teams are top market teams?
No, we talked about that. This is like a dream for forget. I mean, it's also a dream for Fox because Fox and TBS have the rights to the championship series, and Fox has the World Series because ESPN they're done after the divisional rounds. So you think about what they have right now. It's nothing short of phenomenal. In fact, did ESPN even do the divisional rounds, or does their coverage end with a wild card round?
I think it ended with the wild card round. But
I feel
think
like that's
about
right.
this.
That's right. Yeah.
When was the last time we had the Yankees Dodgers in the World Series? 60s, I believe. Was it like 63, something like that, or?
No. Remember, they played in 77 and 78. And I think
77,
it might have been 81. I think Fernando Mania was the last time the Dodgers and Yankees played in the series. I think. I got to double check that, but I'm almost positive it was 81.
So you're either going to have that or you're going to have a Subway Series. Either way, what was the Subway Series? Was that 2001, I think, or 2002? Somewhere in that area? Maybe it was 03?
Subway Series was 2000. Mets and Yankees played in 2000. That's when the Yankees beat them.
And they had, I guess, released it earlier today that the playoff viewership is up 18%. Imagine what that's going to go up to if it is a Subway Series, or even if it is the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Well, I think from a ratings standpoint, I think Yankees-Dodgers would be the biggest ratings bonanza. Then you would probably go, if it's not Yankees-Dodgers, then maybe you go Guardians-Dodgers 2, Yankees-Mets 3, and Mets-Guardians 4. Because I would think that the Dodgers and Guardians, because it's the Dodgers and it's Shohei, would probably be bigger than Mets-Yankees since that's an all-New York World Series. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know. I think that the all New York World Series, you would have a lot of the quote-unquote fair weather fans coming out on both of those. I think, you figure it is the biggest market. You can't go wrong either way. So I think that would actually be the number 2. I think you're right with Yankees, Dodgers as number 1 for sure.
Let's put this question to the brain trust of Adrian, Sebastian, and Alberto. Nothing like asking a couple of teenage to late 20 individuals who have never been alive for the Dodgers-Yankees World Series to see what they would rank number 2 behind that. Now, guys, let's assume Dodgers-Yankees are 1, like we just heard from Eddie. Do you put Yankees-Mets or Guardians-Dodgers as the number 2 World Series in terms of popularity?
Oh, for me, it's no question about it. It's Mets and Yankees there at number 2. There's no, in my eyes, it's them. It's that one, and then a big gap for the next one.
All right, that's Adrian has spoken. What about you, Alberto?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go the same way. I think the Cleveland Guardians don't really give you that shine that the Mets and Yankees do, and I think that's what everyone wants.
Okay, Sebastian, you agree with them?
I am totally non-biased and definitely not a Yankees fan, so I'm going to say Yankees and Mets. That's the Subway Series.
Okay, so you're right, Eddie. There you go. I will stand corrected. I am outnumbered. Everybody will go Yanks, Mets 2. Then I guess we'll go Guardians, Dodgers 3, and Guardians, Mets 4. Appreciate it, Eddie. Thanks for the call. Thanks for getting in. All right, good job, guys. Thanks for helping to answer that question for us. Hey, we got 18 minutes left to go in the hour. We're hanging with you here at Border City Alehouse. 1506 Lee Trevino. Come down. We're giving away UTEP football tickets. We're giving away Horizon Golf. We've got 505-6009. That is our telephone number. 505-6009. As we continue, thank you, Eddie, for giving me the congratulations on the Mets evening their series with the Dodgers. I've got a feeling, guys, this could go 7. I mean, I don't think this ends anytime sooner than that. I feel like these two teams are pretty even, and when it all comes down to it, we could be in for a very, very long series. In fact, again, back to the Dodgers-Yankees history, they played for the first time in 1941, and then listen to this run, okay? So 1947 was Jackie Robinson's rookie year. So imagine this. Imagine if you grew up a Brooklyn Dodgers fan and you were around in 47, okay? The Dodgers played the Yankees in the World Series in 47, 49, 52, 53, 55, and 56. Do you believe that in a 9-year run, you had 6 of those 9 years Yankees-Dodgers World Series?
That would be amazing right there. That'd just be history, bringing it all back, full circle right here. And, you just look at these star-studded organizations, Steve, and how much both of these organizations have invested in their respective clubs. It makes a lot of sense. And they bring all the TV lore. They bring all the excitement of coast to coast. You get to watch the West Coast versus the East Coast. There's so many great storylines between those two clubs.
And you realize also that, in that run between 47 and 56, the Dodgers only won 1 World Series. The Yankees beat them 5 of those 6 World Series. And in 55, which was the year in which the Dodgers beat the Yankees 4-3, that was their only world title in that run. Now, they played again in 63, but by 63, the Dodgers were already in Los Angeles, not in Brooklyn. And the Dodgers won that. And then they've played again in 77, 78, and 81. The Yankees won 77 and 78. That's when Reggie Jackson was Mr. October. And you had those great, World Series classics. And then 3 years later was Fernando Mania, when Fernando Valenzuela was a rookie in that year in 81. And that's when the Dodgers beat the Yankees. So it's really been a fun history to talk about, but They haven't played in 43 years in the World Series. That's why a Yankees-Dodgers World Series, and, this is, as a Met fan, I'm telling you this, that would be a ratings bonanza if you're Major League Baseball on Fox.
It would be, man. I mean, you just think of everybody, you just think of jerseys, Steve. Everybody out there can recognize those two symbols right there, the Yankees logo, the Dodgers logo. They're just so iconic. And people, you walk around, when you think of baseball jerseys and just the casual fan walking around, they're buying the Ohtani jersey. They're buying the Mookie Betts jersey. They're buying a Giancarlo Stanton jersey or an Aaron Judge jersey. These are the high jersey tickets, or sales, I should say. That are out there right here. So it just makes a lot of sense when you talk about two of the most popular franchises in baseball maybe meeting against each other in the World Series.
Really does. Checking Twitter and X, Esteban gets in again. This time he tweets about the UTEP Ticket Center and mentions that he can't buy tickets for a football game there and would have to go to the Brumlow building, which, we all know is the Eisenberg Ticket Center. Now, guys, I'm going to ask you this, just to bounce this off of the three of you, because you're there a lot. I'm there as well. Does having to purchase tickets at the Eisenberg Family Ticket Center in the Brumlow Building, as opposed to the UTEP Ticket Center, is that really a huge inconvenience if you're like Esteban and you only do paper tickets and you do not want them digitally? Do you really feel like that is something that would be a bigger hassle than anything else?
I'd say this, that there's a lot of people out there like Esteban who don't have the awareness that this is the case. So to go there to have to detour and make the quick turnaround, it's not a big deal just having to turn the corner. But if you're so used to always going to the old ticket office and buying the physical tickets, and then you're told to go right around the corner, I get the frustration or maybe a little annoyance. It's not a huge deal in my opinion, though.
I don't know. I mean, you park your car at the UTEP Ticket Center and you walk an extra 1,000 feet, and you're over at the the Eisenberg Family Ticket Center.
It's right around the corner. Yeah,
it is right around the corner. And the reason they did this, I believe, is they just wanted to not have to have the UTEP Ticket Center deal with athletic tickets versus all the concerts and all the other things that they have tickets for.
Right, and you make it convenient for the athletic people who work with athletics, who help out with ticketing athletic events. So it does make sense in that respect.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like you're going to get a ticket if you park your car at the ticket office and walk to the athletic ticket office.
No, you won't. No, I mean, come on. It's right around the corner. It's not like it's the opposite side of campus. If you're parking your car or whatever and you really want to repark it, you can, too. Yeah. There's a parking lot right across the street.
All right. We'll come back, wrap things up in our final 15 minutes, get you ready for Jets-Bills. Coming your way live out here, Border City Alehouse, the home for Sports Talk Mondays and our Dallas Cowboys update. Oh, it's not going to be a pretty one with Christy Scales. That's